Okay, welcome to part 3 of the calibrated scale of consciousness. Again, this was designed by Dr. David Hawkins. I came across it in his book Power versus Force probably 15, maybe 18 years ago. And I've just been really enthralled with studying it and learning more about it. So we left off at the last on episode 2. We reached desire and talked about how you can get stuck in life by focusing too much on external desires and claiming that I can't move forward until I have XYZ. So the next 3 in the sequence we're really getting into the part where this is my favorite area, because this is the realm when we go from the destructive vibrational frequencies and we move up into the positive, the healthy, the beneficial frequencies. There's 2 last ones that we have to deal with that vibrate below the level of 200. Again, on the scale, the numbers are kind of arbitrary. It's really the relationship between the numbers and the various emotional states that is most important. And anything that has been assigned a value of 200 and above is in a expanded or moving towards enlightened state. Everything 200 and below is in a contracted or more base emotional state. So the next one after desire is anger. And anger is not, we're not talking about the kind of anger like, somebody cuts in front of you on the freeway, or takes your parking spot, or, your neighbor's dog doo-doos on your lawn. not those kinds of anger, but we're talking about anger in terms of if the desires that we have go unfulfilled for a long period of time, then we begin to grow impatient, we get frustrated, and we begin to get angry at everything out there. Like it's your fault, it's his fault, it's that person's fault, it's this company's fault, it's the city government's fault, it's everything is somebody else's fault. It's not my fault, right? I know what I want. I have my desire. I've been manifesting it. I've been using the law of attraction. It's not coming. So we get frustrated with the world. Our problems aren't ours, right? We didn't make our problems. We're just dealing with the problems. And we don't take responsibility for correcting them because they're not our problems. Somebody else did this. They need to change, right? My spouse, I don't like how they talk to me. I don't like how they treat me. They need to change in order for us to in order for us to move forward. And that's really not the case. Anytime that we're stuck in that level, we're not taking responsibility for our own actions. We're not taking responsibility for the things that we're creating. Well, how do we expect to be able to manifest what we really truly are destined to have, right? What are the desires that really will move us forward in life? If everything else is somebody else's problem, well then getting what we want is somebody else's problem too. And if we don't have it, it's because that happened out there, not this happened in here. As we move beyond that, we get into this kind of a gray area, I think, when we hit the level of pride. And pride vibrates at 175, from 175 to 199, basically. And pride is when our desires do start getting met, right? We move from anger into pride, and we start taking, not that we take responsibility for it, but it's more of like a smug, prideful, like, look at this, look what I got, look what I did, look what I created, look at what I manifested, right? It feels like it's a positive emotion, but it's a false positive. this is the realm of like your superstar athletes, your Hollywood movie stars, politicians. A lot live in this level of pride, and a lot of corporate executives live in this level of pride, where even though the CEO of such and such company, may not have ever done any of the work that their company does. They were appointed just to move the company forward. Good example, a CEO of Apple back in the day had come from Coca-Cola prior to working at Apple. So ever built a computer? Probably not. Knows how to build a company, right? So even though these executives and whatnot don't actually do the work, they're still full of pride in terms of, look what we created, look what we built. Well, they set the direction. They're kind of like the wind in the sail. The ship moves in that direction, but it's the people that run the ship basically that did the work, if that makes sense. So that's why I say it's a false positive emotion. It feels like like you're getting everything you want. It feels like you have some grasp of or some control on your environment, but in reality, you don't. Your being, your value is attached to what you have created or what you've attracted, and it's not in yourself, if that makes sense. It's like, look what I did. Well, remove the I out of that conversation, first of all. And a lot of people, as they begin moving up this scale, will get really prideful in terms of where they measure, right? Oh, I had someone muscle test me or whatnot, and I measure at a 642. And that's a prideful statement. Again, if you are measuring at these enlightened states, then you wouldn't even care that you were measuring at these enlightened states, if that makes sense. So, moving on. The next level is courage. And this is where we cross over, because it takes courage to release all of this other stuff, to move beyond, to say, okay, I'm in control of my environment. I'm in control of, at least, if nothing more, I'm in control of how I can respond to the things that are happening. I might not be in control of the fact that I got into a car wreck, the other day, but, and I didn't, I'm just using that as an example. I may not have been in control of that. The other driver may have hit me, but I can still control my response to the situation. I can get out of the car being an angry whatever, or I can get out of the car and say, okay, let's exchange information. Let's go through the process. Let's take care of this. So courage, it's that point where you begin to feel that sense of empowerment, that you have the ability, as I said, to change your world, and that your future is in your hands. This is also, as I mentioned, the first barrier. Crossing over into 200 and above is that first barrier, because it really can't begin until you've identified the egoic self, and you've disassociated, or you've begun the disassociation from the ego. And when that happens, the ego doesn't really like it. So a lot of caca hits the fan, basically, so that you feel like you need to go back and do the things that you were doing before. And this really takes great courage. It really does, in order to move beyond there, which is why this very first positive emotion is courage. Tomorrow, or whenever I get around to it, neutrality, willingness, and acceptance are coming up. 3 more that I really, really love talking about. But let's get courageous. Let's start looking in. Stop looking out. Start looking at, what am I doing? How do I feel about this? How am I allowing this to control me? How are my actions related to the life that I really want to have? Let's start getting courageous about it. Yeah? All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon.